What's up, everybody? It is Father Michael, and I know that right now we're living in a time in which people are frustrated, we can't get to church, we can't have our midweek services, and so I wanted to do something fun and offer a chance for us to continue to grow in our faiths from the comfort of our own bedrooms. And so what better way than with a video series? And today we're going to look at some of the ways in which we can see Christian themes and messages in some of our favorite films and what we can learn from them. And now I'm not just talking about movies that are explicitly Christian like these. While these are great, I'm talking about some of those stories that aren't explicitly faith-based, but like so many things, are just retellings of the gospel. Now I could cheat and just do a whole video on Marvel movies, but instead I'm going to break them down really quickly and then we'll move on to some of the good stuff. So, deep breath in. Iron Man is the story of someone who has literally been born again. He goes into the cave, comes out, and says, I shouldn't be alive. It must be for a purpose. And so he has to go out and figure out what that purpose is and to become the hero that he's meant to be. Samson, is pretty much the same story, not to mention all the prodigal son vibes that are there. When we get to Black Panther, Wakanda is just a city, a light on a hill that won't be hidden anymore. T'Challa's gonna let it shine. The Guardians of the Galaxy literally features a guy named Star-Lord. Goes and meets his father, a celestial being who wants to transform the world into what it always should be, but has to sacrifice his son to do so. Although this is a little bit of a twisted version of the gospel, you can still see that story there. And then of course everyone's favorite, Captain America. Literally, a fully man, fully super soldier serumed. Kinda similar to that fully human, fully divine nature of Jesus Christ, how those two work together, and leads us to contemplate all the more. Not to mention Captain America lets you know the deal with this.
These guys come from legend, they're basically gods.
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
And finally, all those Avengers movies are about self-sacrificial love, loving their neighbor even to the ends of the earth. All right, but with those out of the way, let's talk about some of the other offerings we have, starting with HBO Now. But the first thing you gotta check out is Les Mis. This is the story of revolution in France, but more than that, it's a story of works versus grace. You have Russell Crowe's character who is all about the law and punishment, receiving what you deserve. And then you have Jean Valjean, played by Hugh Jackman, who's all about grace after experiencing grace from the Bishop. Now Netflix has a lot of great stand-up comedies, but the one that I can't recommend enough is Mike Birbiglia's Thank God for Jokes. It's an amalgamation of stories that are brought together about what it means to be a neighbor, to be a good neighbor, and in fact, ask the audience to be his neighbor, but in an interesting way that is both hilarious and challenging for us, not just as a people of faith, but in general. And finally, on Amazon Prime is Creed 2. It's one of those rare moments where the sequel is better than the original. And it's really a story about going through Good Friday to get to Easter, breaking yourself down, then come and achieve and be what you're called to be. Not to mention, it has so much of the prodigal son as both Creed and Rocky are working to reclaim the legacies of their parents and their children. But listen, I'm not trying to keep you here all day because there is a ton to go out and see. Because the truth is the gospel is being proclaimed to us everywhere. And although we can't gather as one right now, we can still worship, still grow in our faith. And I hope that you'll continue to check in back here for all kinds of content. Things like how we can make a spiritual communion, how we can prepare for Rose Sunday next week, and all manner of ways in which we continue to live out our faith even under these circumstances. I know times are hard, but remember that whether we're gathered together physically or like this, whenever 2 or 3 are gathered, Christ is present with us, and He is with you no matter where you are or what's going on. So, with that, I look forward to seeing you again. Be well, and God bless.